How I protect my signed K-pop albums. Let's get started. Here are some things that you'll need. Your signed albums, some washi tape, or you can use normal tape, and these resealable comic bags, and sheet protectors. So the first method is using these comic bags. First up, we have an album from the Rose, Void, and I'm just going to go ahead and take one of these comic bags. I'm going to take that album and slide it right in to the bag with the long side facing towards the back, since that's the edge that you're going to be folding backwards. And then you're going to flip it over. And then you're going to make sure that the album is nice and tight along the edges. And then you're going to take off this little plastic strip. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that flap and fold it over so that it lines up on that adhesive. And then you're going to fold over the top part with the extra plastic again. And then making sure it's nice and tight, hold it in place, and then take your washi tape. And then you're going to rip a few pieces off and tape down those edges. When you're taping it down, make sure that it's as tight as possible along the edges. That way it'll appear smoother and there won't be any air bubbles along the front side of the cover. And then you're going to take the other side where there's extra plastic as well, and you're going to do the same thing and fold over the edges. And then you're going to do the same thing along the other edge, folding it over and making sure it's as tight as possible. And then you're going to take your washi tape and tape down that edge as well. Don't worry if you mess up the first couple of times. It took me quite a few trial runs and practices to get this perfectly smooth and beautiful. So don't worry, just keep practicing and I'm sure you'll be wrapping these babies gorgeously in no time. And once you're done taping down the edges, this is what it should look like. So smooth and gorgeous. And now I have Astro's Blue Flame album, and it's also an autographed version, and I just realized that I'm holding it upside down, but that's okay. I'm going to be taking the same comic bag and then taking the album and sliding it in with the long flap side facing towards the back. So if you have an album that's signed like mine, where it's signed on the back, what you can actually do is flip it the other way so that when you're folding it over, it doesn't cover the autographs, but I prefer my covers to be the front side. So that's why I'm doing it like that, but it's just up to how you like it and your personal preference. And then you're going to do the same thing where you fold over that extra plastic and take your washi tape and tape it down, making sure that it's nice and tight. You can actually use normal tape as well, but I prefer washi tape just because it's easier to peel off, just in case you make a mistake, and it's also a lot more flexible. And then you're going to do the same thing along the other edge, making sure to fold it down nice and tight along the edge and tape it down again with washi tape. So you can see that there's little like edges of plastic sticking out around the corners. This cover didn't fit this album as well, so I'm just gonna go ahead and tape down those corners as well, making sure that it's smooth. I love wrapping my albums like this just because it prevents the autographs from getting smeared or faded, and it just keeps them looking so beautiful. I really recommend it if you have signed albums or you have an album that you really love that you would just like to protect. And then I'm just going around and doing the same thing on every single corner, taping down whatever plastic is left just so that it's perfectly smooth and beautiful. And then after you're done, it should look gorgeous like this, smooth and beautifully protected. Now we have another signed album from the Rose. It's Like We Used To. And this is an example of an album that fits perfectly in these bags, and when this happens, it is the most satisfying feeling in the world. So I'm gonna go ahead and just slide it in, making sure that it's all the way to the bottom and as tight as possible. And then you're going to do the same thing and take off the plastic strip, tape down the little extra flap, and then fold it down, and then just take your washi tape and fold it. Because it fits perfectly, we don't have to tape any of the edges, and it's like so satisfying. And voila, look how gorgeous this beauty is. For the second method, we'll be using sheet protectors. So I have a Pentagon's album here, and we'll be taking the standard sheet protectors. I got mine from Target, but any sheet protector should do well. So you can see here that my comic bag doesn't fit this album just because it's wider and just thicker. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this sheet protector and use the same steps and just slide it right in. Honestly, I don't really see a difference between using the comic bags or the sheet protectors. They pretty much do the same job. Sheet protectors are a little cheaper and they do come in a larger size. The comic bags I have are a little smaller than your standard paper size. So I ended up having to get sheet protectors so that it could accommodate for my larger albums. I also do notice that the comic bags are a little thicker and they feel a little different, like they're made out of like a sturdier plastic. So following the same steps, I'm just going to fold over the extra edges and take my washi tape and tape that down. And then I'm going to go ahead and tape down all the little extra plastic pieces that are sticking out just so that it's perfectly smooth, and this is what it should look like after. It looks pretty much the same and does the same job. This is pretty much the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this helped you guys. Thank you and bye!